you're someone who enjoys mixing their cannabis products with tobacco products and you're looking to quit both of those things, often referred to as chops, the mixture of nicotine and tobacco and cannabis all together when you consume it, today's video is going to be for you. I'm going to share with you 5 different approaches that you can take to quitting this mixture of cannabis and tobacco product. And I get asked this question all the time on my channel. And some people get frustrated because they're like, Dr. Frank, but you didn't smoke chops. You didn't do that. No, I just walked around with a dip of tobacco in my mouth all day long, hitting my vape, while at the same time going home and consuming cannabis every night. So I promise I understand what it is you're going through. Now, real quick, if you wind up enjoying today's video, my name is Dr. Frank. I'm the founder of AddictionMindset recovery coaching programs, and I have the sole goal of making sobriety accessible to everyone. So if you need help with that, check out the links in the pinned comment in the video description. Method number 1 to quit chops would be stopping consuming cannabis and continuing to consume tobacco. So this is where you would quit weed, get rid of the weed, and keep consuming tobacco. The advantage of doing this is you're not going to experience withdrawal from the tobacco and the nicotine containing portion of that concoction of cannabis and nicotine. And this may be advantageous because for some people, quitting both at the same time, nicotine and cannabis, whether you're using them together or separately throughout the day, can be very overwhelming. It can be a lot of physical strain on the body. It can mess with cortisol levels. It can mess with blood pressure. It can mess with blood sugar. So, option 1, quit cannabis. Continue to consume tobacco until you decide to stop doing that at a later point. Now, the advantage of this is I find a lot of people are actually better off at making other changes after they get rid of cannabis first. So that's why I'm saying to get rid of cannabis first, because I find that people's kind of motivation goes up, their determination goes up, their drive goes up, and then it's actually easier for them to then quit tobacco, pornography, gambling, gaming. Cannabis a lot of times seems to be the thing that's holding together a bunch of other bad behaviors. Okay, option number 2, you can quit cannabis and you can quit tobacco using nicotine replacement therapy. So you quit weed, you quit tobacco, but in this case, you use a nicotine gum or a nicotine patch, or you use a nicotine pouch. Okay, and nicotine pouches are technically not nicotine replacement therapy. If you're going to get into nicotine pouches, you have to be very careful of the brand that you're using. You have to make sure it's a reputable brand, and be aware you could develop an addiction, especially in the case of the pouches, to these nicotine alternative products, okay? If you want to play this really, really safe, and what I think the best option is you quit weed, use nicotine replacement therapy, but use it in the form of a low milligram patch that you put on throughout the day, and then it gives you that steady release of nicotine all day long. And if you absolutely needed to, maybe you could mix in some nicotine gum or a very, very low milligram nicotine pouch. But I would be very careful if you're combining patches, gums, and pouches, because your risk of nicotine toxicity would definitely be quite a bit elevated. Option number 3, quit tobacco and keep cannabis. Now, here's the argument here. The argument would be, are you actually addicted to weed, or are you more addicted to the tobacco product and the nicotine product? And we could figure this out, because if you quit tobacco, then maybe once you get through those initial cravings and withdrawals and stuff like that, and you keep the cannabis product, maybe once the tobacco's gone, quitting cannabis in your case will become a lot easier later on down the line, because now you don't have it associated with this nicotine addiction. Now, I like this option number 4 a little bit more, which would be quit tobacco products, okay? But instead of using THC containing cannabis, use CBD. Now, use CBD in the absence of psychosis and cannabinoid hyperemesis syndrome, okay? Because we can't use CBD in those cases. But if you don't have psychosis or CHS, I would recommend trying quitting tobacco and using a CBD containing product as you go through this quitting process. And CBD has been shown, there's been a lot of talk for that to be beneficial at quitting nicotine products and helping people come off of THC containing cannabis products. So that's an option. Maybe one of my favorite options. Get rid of the tobacco, get rid of the cannabis, and use a combination of nicotine replacement therapy, ideally low milligram patches, plus CBD product. CBD gummy, CBD oil. I just wouldn't be vaping or smoking CBD in my opinion, okay? I wouldn't be doing that. But that would be another way to quit this. If you're really, really struggling and you don't have psychosis or CHS and you really need some extra support because you had such a strong physical dependence to both nicotine and cannabis, which can happen, and you're getting really nasty withdrawal symptoms when you stop, you might be someone who's suited to do a combination of CBD plus nicotine replacement therapy when you're stopping. And then, of course, as a bonus tip, you could go cold turkey. Most people can safely do this, with the exception unless they wind up in a mental health crisis or they wind up with really irregular and dysfunctional heartbeats and blood sugar changes. In those cases, then, yeah, you're probably going to have to wean off slowly. Now, I didn't go into the other methods of it. I tried to be really specific to this topic. But always remember, too, for those of you guys who are quitting, you could also look at taking an approach of decreasing the frequency that you consume chops. So literally continuing to consume cannabis and nicotine containing tobacco, but just do it less. You could do that. You could also decrease the strength, right? So you could continue to do both cannabis and nicotine containing tobacco, but decrease the strength. Or you could keep doing both and decrease both the frequency and the strength. Those would be other ways to quit. When people ask me how to quit, it's like you stop using the product. In this case, it's a little different because we're addressing both cannabis withdrawal and potential physical dependence, as well as nicotine withdrawal and potentially physical dependence. But I want to make it very clear. Just because you're addicted to chops or whatever you call it, moles, whatever you refer to it as in your country or wherever you're watching this from, does not make you some super addict where it's going to be impossible to stop. People call me and they're like, listen, this is bad. I do both nicotine and cannabis products together. And I'm like, it's okay. There's a lot of people who were doing that. And if you're me, guess what else you were doing? You were drinking energy drinks every day. You were watching porn every day. You were addicted to, you were binge drinking heavily on the weekends. You were doing a lot more than just nicotine and cannabis. If you're anything like me, it's going to be okay. We can still stop that behavior. We can still get you better. So don't fall into that mindset of that you're in some really unique situation because you do chops or moles. I promise you're still more than capable of safely quitting, okay? Now check this out. If you're doing both of those things and you have drug testing coming up for a job, or maybe you have a life insurance related drug test coming up, granted, you should never lie about your life insurance policies, and you're going to be tested for nicotine, shows our channel sponsor some love, Exploro. They make highly sensitive nicotine at-home test kits and THC test kits. I put a link to their products in the pinned comment. We also have our Kick It Crave Less chewing gum. If you're quitting chops, I would highly recommend this. We're the only people in the world who make a chewing gum designed to help people quit both cannabis and nicotine. It has KSM 66 ashwagandha to reduce feelings of stress and anxiety, and it has N-acetylcysteine, which has been shown to help reduce cravings for cannabis and nicotine. We are the only people in the world to make it in chewing gum form, which has much better absorption and it's much faster acting than taking those supplements in a capsule. Lastly, we have our coaching and group coaching programs. If you need help and you're not sure which one of these approaches to take to quitting, call me. Let's do a one-on-one call and let's talk about it. Or check out our free 7-day trial to our $27 a month Addiction Mindset Group Coaching School community. I go live in there 1 to 2 times a week, answering questions from community members in a conversation just like this, except it's live. So we have tons of resources to help you quit. Check all of those out in the links in the pinned comment and the video description. Until next time.